Hello, everybody. My name is Dallas Crum, and I am here with Joni, the founder of Snacktivus. I'm really excited to be talking to you guys today about increasing your direct-to-consumer e-commerce sales. In just a second, we're going to meet Joni, but I just kind of want to give you the agenda for today. We're going to talk to Joni, learn about her amazing business, Snacktivus, and how the world has changed her business. And specifically direct to consumer. And then we're going to dive into a little training session that we're titling How to Massively Increase Direct to Consumer E-commerce Sales Right Away with these 5 steps. So with that, Joni, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. And I'm really excited to take the deep dive into what we're going to talk about today, Dallas.
So tell us a little bit, give us a snapshot of Snacktivus and you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my company, Snacktivus Foods, believes that we can build a better world through food. And we're starting with the grain and pulse vertical, which grain-based foods are really kind of the poster child of a sad, broken food system anymore. They're synonymous with obesity and diet-related disease. But we see a lot of value in grains. They're really the foundation of civilization. And we want to revitalize the whole sector and turn grain-based foods into functional foods that are nutrition forward and sustainably sourced and can have even a huge global footprint on climate mitigation. So we're really jazzed about grains and pulses, and we're making a line right now of baking mixes for home and commercial use. So we work with restaurants and food service people. And we also work now, especially post-COVID, reaching people at home and doing home baking. We also are launching a line of finished product goods again. So that's actively happening up here in northern Idaho right now and in Spokane.
Okay, and where in northern Idaho?
We're in Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene, beautiful Coeur d'Alene. Looks like that's, is that Coeur d'Alene your background right there? Are you sitting at the lake right now?
No, actually, this is a screenshot of Montana, but
okay.
Not too far from here. Yeah, my in-laws live in Montana, so yeah. But Coeur d'Alene is gorgeous. It's a really nice place to have to live.
What a place, and a cool entrepreneurial community up there.
Awesome. Yeah, we have an amazing social support structure. Like the culture surrounding entrepreneurship up here is amazing.
That's awesome. Well, and Joni and I were preparing for the call, and I had a chance to dig into the Snacktivus, and I haven't got to try stuff yet, but I was telling her that we're going to make some orders here soon, because especially I was looking at those brownies. I was eyeballing the brownies.
Yeah. The brownies are very popular.
And they look good. Well, cool. Joni, you mentioned something. You said especially things have changed in 2020. Obviously, it's changed for the world in 2020, but specifically to your business and consumer product goods. People were buying stuff in stores, it sounded like, most of the time, and now a lot of e-commerce. Can you kind of talk about what happened and how what steps you made and what the transition looked like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So last year, we really spent the majority of our time as a business focusing on institutional food service contracts. So things like college campuses, schools, hospitality like cruise ships. Really, that's where we invested most of our time and effort, was developing those kind of relationships. And obviously, when 2020 hit, we started January thinking this is going to be the best year ever. And by March, we were having to figure out how to restructure and pivot because food service was obviously not going anywhere at that time. But e-commerce was rapidly growing, and we had already had our products on Amazon. So we hadn't invested a lot in marketing and growing that channel. And by early March, actually, we were like, we need to full steam ahead, do nothing but focus on Amazon. We'd also implemented some Amazon marketing things earlier on, actually in late 2019, to try to boost our Amazon presence going into the spring, which is traditionally a tougher time to reach people at home. In retail settings, the center market slows in the middle of the spring and summer. So we were really lucky that we could rapidly pivot and capture great sales velocity all throughout quarantine and the COVID crazy months when things were really, really abnormal. And we've been able to kind of ride that wave, which has been awesome. But now that the survival mode is kind of over. So a rapid pivot of your company is kind of a crazy time. And now we're really reevaluating what our strategy is. And I know there's a lot more we could do to harness our inbound marketing and harness our customers that have purchased from us on our website and on Amazon both. And we need to invest in tools and learn how to do this more strategically.
Absolutely. Amazon is amazing. It's a incredible channel, incredible tool, and it's a huge questions. It's its own beast, right? Amazon,
it is.
And that's own thing. And we won't dive into that today. But we are going to go into a little bit direct to consumer. And I remember when you first got online and had your products, and you didn't even have them listed for you couldn't buy them, but they were listed on there. You chose Shopify. Is that right?
Yeah, because originally speaking, I built our first website for our company, and I had no business building a website, no experience, nothing. And Shopify does make it really easy for a very novice person to sit down and figure out how to build a website that can actually, people can purchase on it. And that was a necessity for us, as we wanted to be able to have that as an available option that you can do purchase transactions on there. And also there is some inventory management tools built into Shopify, which is handy as well. And it seemed like the best fit for us. But last year you couldn't even buy on our website. This year, obviously you can, and we really want to grow that this winter.
Did that change? Could you be able to buy on your website? Did you make that decision because of everything that was going on? Did you make that change like in April, May during?
Yeah, we switched on the e-commerce button in March.
Okay, so you were early.
Yeah, good. We saw it coming. I mean, we're nurses.
Oh yeah.
And I think that healthcare people really saw what was happening a little earlier because of just the preparations that were happening on the front lines of healthcare delivery in March when we saw what was coming at us.
Wow. And for everybody listening who's not familiar with Shopify is it's considered a content management system. It's basically your home base of your website. Maybe you're using WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, something like this. But Shopify, which we'll get into a little bit later, is really my personal top recommendation. I know it's a lot of e-commerce folks' top recommendation. And it just so happened to be that you got onto Shopify early, and now you're seeing the benefits, especially it sounds like big things that you liked is that you could start small and you built it yourself. And then, and just so you know, even though you built it yourself, it scales. There's, billion-dollar companies using Shopify now. So it's going to scale with you as you grow. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And then you said inventory management, which is a big deal, obviously, for your operational side of your business.
Yeah. And it's
can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's not sophisticated inventory management, but if you're a brand new little tiny business and you're just getting started, you can do some, initial basic inventory management there. And then as you invest in larger inventory management platforms, Shopify has really robust integrations. So if e-commerce and your own website is a huge component of your sales, it plays well with these inventory management tools.
It does. I totally agree with you. I think that's one of my favorite things about Shopify is its ability. What they did was really smart is they plug in with so many great tools.
Yeah.
A million. And from the back end, like you said, with inventory management, all the way to the top of the funnel with marketing tools and things like that. After a few technical difficulties, we're back. And the big question, what's the plans for Snacktivus and you guys coming up with direct to consumer? How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, so we see direct to consumer being one of the biggest assets that we could develop as a brand going into the next few years, but certainly into the next couple of months, because people are at home more and their communities are more and more quickly becoming digital communities because of the implications of COVID on getting together in person. And so we're really focused on harnessing some online communities that try to make people have something to rally behind and bring some joy into their lives going into the winter. It's already been a very depressing year for most people. I mean, from wildfires to hurricanes to, COVID, elections. I mean, there's a lot of stressors. I think most people are feeling pretty distraught, no matter how they feel about things like foundationally. I just think there's a general sense of needing something to cling to for comfort for most people right now. And, for a lot of people, you think about what their fondest memories are from childhood, and it's usually has to do with food, and it usually has to do with loved ones. If it's not like a fun out of the house experience, like going to Disneyland or something. So we feel like we could add value to people's lives if we help deliver that comfort to them at home. And but then the technical elements of it is like, how do you reach people? How do you get that social media momentum? How do you get into people's inboxes and engage with them? So that's where marketing and technology come together to help make that happen. But we think that at home, reaching people at home through our Shopify site is going to just be critical for the next few months.
And that direct relationship, especially with such an incredible brand like yours, where you have such a powerful mission. And I listened to you on a podcast, and you mentioned how important talking to your customers was, like even flying down to LA to one of your boutique stores and just talking to people and learning from them. So clearly that is a thing that, obviously we all wish we could do right now, but it's much more challenging. And so, we make do, and using the internet to build those relationships is huge. And I can only imagine the power as you harness this, how big that can be for Snacktivus, because people want to, when you buy something of similar nature doesn't have the depth, the brand depth, and the purpose behind it of a similar product on the shelf. I think it's less what's in people's cabinets is becoming more meaningful to them. And there's so many options that we have to trust brands now. We have to trust in their missions, and we kind of choose our products based on that. So
absolutely.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see how you take that passion for your customers online.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of work to do it successfully, of course, but it'll be fun. So we really, our mantra for the rest of the year is just building hope and trying to find hope in the midst of a really dismal situation on many levels. And so we want to give people something to feel hopeful about.
I love that. And I think you absolutely do. Now, I also know that you mentioned the business library and just studying the industry and studying trends. This was on one of your podcasts, and as from your perspective, and now being in the industry for quite some time now, how do you see the future of e-commerce and direct e-commerce for brands like Snacktivus and those that are getting moving?
Yeah, well, definitely e-commerce is huge because you can get beyond a local reach, which is really important. I live in a rural area. Coeur d'Alene is a significant town in Idaho, but globally insignificant in the world. It's a teeny little speck. So for us, we love the idea that through e-commerce, we can not only get beyond our local region in our nation, but there's actually even capacity to move beyond and export using things like Amazon as vehicles to get to other markets where you find people who are looking for the same thing. So I think that as we move into a more globally connected society that's shifting from being physically globally connected to being more digitally connected, e-commerce is just going to become the foundation of all consumer interactions, I think, where brick and mortar, and I hate to say it because I love a lot of brick and mortar places, but it's going to be really tough as the next generation transitions. I think about my own children, and it wouldn't dawn on them to go looking for something at the store. If they knew exactly where they could get something at a store, they would physically go get it, but it would never dawn on them that it's even an option to go hunt and pack and look for something. You would just get it on Amazon. So as this generation of children becomes the consumer group of the future and adults of the future, we have to realize that is going to be the reality.
It's a lot. Yep. Adjust, and you're sure good at that. The fact that you turned on that button in March to start shopping directly online is amazing, and I'm excited. I'm excited for your growth. I hope this. I imagine your story is be super helpful for everybody who's watching right now and listening here. It is. It's been a crazy time, and I got a graph here that I'm going to show quickly that will kind of show that e-commerce penetration. And to take advantage of all these opportunities is amazing. It sounds like you guys are well on your way. So, Joni, thank you so much for your insights and your input. And you all that's watching, thank you for your patience with our technology. But now what is next is I'm going to dive into a training here. I want you to come away with 5 things that you can take action on right away to start jumping into that e-commerce, direct-to-consumer e-commerce space, and how you can really become efficient and stop spinning your wheels, because it can be scary. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of things. Where do we start, right? It's so new, especially for CPG brands, and to do it efficiently. So we're going to jump into a training here. It's going to be an action, kind of like jam-packed training full of stuff. I wish we had hours to talk about it, but we only have about 20 minutes. So we're going to dive into that now. And I'm going to share my screen, and we'll get rocking. Thank you, Joni. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
I have titled this training, Massively Increase Direct-to-Consumer E-commerce Sales Right Away with these 5 easy steps. The reason I say massive is because I wanted to give you some things that really, really move the needle. And then I want you to have some easy takeaways so you can go here. This deck is available if you need a link to it, and we're going to be live in the chat. So if any of these resources that we talk about, keep an eye on that, because we'll be able to send you this whole deck you can get as a PDF link as well, which has links to everything we're going to talk about today. So just keep that in mind as we go through. Again, my name is Dallas Crum. I am the managing director at Inspire Media. We are a digital marketing agency, and what we do is we help consumer product good brands rapidly grow their direct-to-consumer sales using our 5-system proven framework that we call Advanced E-commerce System. So what does that mean? We help CPG brands sell more online. We spend millions of dollars in online advertising. We've analyzed millions of data points across the entire digital sales funnel with our team. And so we really know the things that are moving the needle. And that is what I am here today to share with you. So buckle up. It's going to be a lot, but I think that you will really come out the other side excited to get to work with your business. First things first, we talked about this a little bit with Joni. It's obviously a big deal, but I was really interested in how obvious. So this shot of this graph came from the U.S. Department of Commerce. And you can see here, this is U.S. e-commerce penetration as a percentage of retail sales. Look at this. From 2009 to 2020, basically, before April, we went from 5.6 to 16%. And over the period of 8 weeks in April through May into the summer, we went to 27%. So it basically grew more over the summer and in spring than it did in the previous 10 years. That is how much e-commerce has grown, and that's how really important it is that we are focusing on that direct-to-consumer relationship, because things are changing, right? And so what I really want to focus on, my goals for you today, are to identify areas where you might be wasting money. Number 2 is I have 3 things for you that you can focus on to increase revenue right away. And then lastly, I want to give you some amazing tools from our toolbox that we use with all of our clients. These are going to be tools that you love. The good news is they all have free versions to start with. So none of these are going to cost you anything at the beginning. So again, identify areas where you might be wasting money, 3 things that you can focus on to increase revenue right away, and then give you some amazing tools for your toolbox. So where you might be wasting money. This is a public service announcement for everybody. Please stop burning money. Please stop. We see it so much in the industry. There's incredible amounts of inefficiency where this is a time where we need to be extremely efficient with our dollars. So I'm going to throw out some things, some identifiers that you may be burning money at. So if you just keep mental note of these things. The first thing that we need to know before we can fix a problem is if there's a problem, right? We have to be aware of the problem. It's obviously a basic concept, but if you aren't focusing on these 3 key metrics, there's a possibility that you're burning money. Number 1, average order value. This is a big one. We'll talk a little bit more later. Average number of orders. How many orders on average does a consumer make on your website? Because then we can use those 2 numbers to create our customer lifetime value. What's a customer worth to us? Right? And we can use the data if we're using a platform like Shopify, like Joni's using, to calculate this. Conversion rate's going to be extremely important. How many people are coming to my website and how many of those people are then making a purchase, right? Converting. This is a really important number because all of these numbers allow us to create an extremely important metric in high growth direct to consumer e-commerce. This is our cost per customer acquisition, CPA, right? Cost per acquisition. How much can we pay to acquire a customer? That's what advertising, that's what marketing is, that's what sales is, that's how much can we use to grow that. If we know those numbers, we can create an amazing plan to grow effectively online. So know your numbers. Next one, 20 to 40% of your revenue should be coming from email. This is contrary to a lot of people's popular belief that email is on its way out. It's not. It's still one of the best channels that we have where we can have a direct relationship with our customers. And 20, 40% of your revenue should be coming from email. Your website is not optimized for mobile. Lots of times when we're designing our websites, especially if we're doing it ourselves at first, or we're working, even when we're working with designers, we're always working on our computers, right? So we always look at our own websites from our computers rather than our mobile devices. Well, the case is typically at least 65%, over half, that number is growing, is coming from your mobile. So your mobile experience is more important than ever, not only for your consumers, but also Google, right? If you don't have a good mobile experience, Google tracks those sorts of things, and they're not going to bring you as high in the rankings if they know that your website's not mobile friendly. You haven't done any user testing or heat mapping to find the holes in your website, to find out where people are dropping off. I have so many people that have said, hey, I've boosted posts on Facebook. I've done these things. I've done these, sent people to my website, but people aren't buying. Well, there's multiple pages, right, that people have to visit. They see your homepage, and then what's their next step? They're visiting your collections page where they see all your products, and they go to the product page, and then they have to add to their cart, and then they go to the checkout page, right? There's multiple steps, which we'll visualize here in a minute. But we need to know what that customer experience looks like, and we can do that through using tools. And so people dropping off, we need to identify why that's happening. Maybe a page is loading really slowly. Maybe it just doesn't look right. Maybe our messaging isn't clear for people to take the next step. So we need to do these things up front. You aren't retargeting. We're going to talk about retargeting in a minute, but retargeting is, when you're shopping for that thing and all of a sudden it follows you around the internet and offers you free shipping and discount codes. There's right ways to do that, and there's wrong ways to do that, but either way, it works really well. We want to do it the right way. I'm going to show you a case study where one of our clients, it provides massive, massive return on investment. The next one is you don't have a strong SEO strategy, search engine optimization. This means when I type in your name of your product or something related, that you come to the top. This SEO is also, they use these strategies on Amazon, Google, Bing, any search engine. And I was recently at a conference with some really high level folks in the industry, and they said that, SEO is the new shelf space, right? Exactly how Joni mentioned her kids finding products, right, in the future. It's through search engines. We find products differently now. So search engine optimization is a very deep topic and a lot of big word. I highly recommend really understanding it and educating yourself on it, or finding a team that can help you with it. You don't have a proper advocate system in place. We want our customers, right, to keep coming back. And one of those things is creating a review program so we can get reviews on our products on our website, so people know, how they are. Because if they've never seen you before and they come to your website, how are they supposed to know the product is great if they haven't seen? That's why Amazon thrives and pushes reviews so hard, right? Because it helps people understand the product better. Next thing is a loyalty program. How do we get people to come back over and over again? And there's all strategies around all of these things, and they're super important to growing. So you may feel a little bit like this now, like, oh man, I'm not doing a lot of those things, or I don't know a lot of those numbers. That's okay. We're going to talk about all this. That's okay. But the first step is awareness. Do we understand where we might be missing out? Those are the top things that we see people doing, the biggest holes, right, in the bucket. But if we can plug those holes, we'll be making a lot more money, increasing profit, increasing revenue. So don't worry. We're about to tell you how to fix all those holes now. So now on to our second piece, which is the top 3 things you should focus on to increase revenue right away. The first things first, we always talk about this. People want to jump right into Facebook ads or right into SEO or right into social media. But first things first, we have to get the customer journey right and focus on conversion rate optimization. I can't express how important this is, that we have our foundation down and we totally understand our journey before we start sending people to the website, right? If we have a storefront that's just all raggedy and it's confusing for people to buy, like it doesn't look great, we don't want to promote that yet, right? And so The same thing goes with our website. We want it on the up and up. We want a great customer experience before we start spending resources to get people in our virtual door. The next way to really focus on to increase revenue right away is email automation and segmentation. We'll talk a little bit about this in just a minute. And then lastly, proper retargeting. So customer journey and conversion rate optimization. First, you need to understand your customer journey. I'm going to show you a sample customer journey. Obviously, you can download this again, but you can follow this map. I'm going to show you a great one in just a minute. We use Digital Marketer's 8-stage customer value journey. We're actually what's called a Digital Marketer Certified Partner. They're one of the leading information and teaching businesses around digital marketing. I highly recommend checking them out. They have a lot of great content for business owners. But we use their 8-stage customer value journey, which you can see is linked here, and it tells you all about the value journey and how it works. The next one is mapping out each step of your user experience, right? This is called your UX a lot. You hear these words when we talk about software, but UX is extremely important with our shopping experiences as well, because there's multiple phases, right? People come to their first landing page that they see, whether that be a blog maybe or your homepage. Now, what's the next step? Then they see a collections page and a product page like we talked about. Each step here is very, very important that we have a very seamless and smooth experience. We use a tool to do this, to visually map, which I'll show you an example of well, called Funnelytics. Again, has a free version, helps you map your digital sales funnel. Measure each step of the funnel to learn where people are dropping off. We got to find people are dropping off. Lots of time, like we said, people are coming to our website, but they're not buying. What's wrong? Well, they could be falling off at one of those stages. Maybe a page isn't loading right, things like this. We use two tools for this. We use Google Analytics, which is classic. It's free. Definitely recommend if you don't have Google Analytics installed, get it installed and start to understand how to use it. Even you don't have to be a pro, but get the basics down. Second is Hotjar. Hotjar is one of my favorite all-time tools, especially for people like me who need some visualization. Hotjar is going to allow you to heat map and see how people are engaging with your site. It allows you to record their experiences so you can see where people are getting hung up. Lastly, pick a great platform. You hear the top platforms, especially in e-commerce, are going to be platforms. Shopify is bar none the top platform. Here's a link here to learn a little bit more about it. There's other ones like WooCommerce, which can be quite a bit more complicated. Typically developers like this platform, but it is more complicated. Those are going to be the two top ones. Magento is going to be big as well, but Shopify is going to be a great platform for you to have a solid base, even if you're just getting started, all the way to scaling up to be as big as you can imagine being. So measuring your funnel and heat mapping, here's just a few samples for you here. We have a site. You can see where people are mouse hovers. We can watch where they're going on our site on desktop, on tablets, on mobile devices, and see their experiences and see how far they're scrolling, right? We can see where their mouse is going. We can also do screen recordings. This is an example of Funnelytics, where we can look at our funnel and see where people are dropping off and track those numbers as well. This is that customer value journey we just talked about from Digital Marketer. This is an 8-stage journey. It starts at the bottom here and makes its way across. I'm going to take just a minute to describe the customer value journey so you kind of understand it, because this is the first thing that we talk about. We need to know what's happening. We can't just put money into social media, post stuff, and hope people buy. We call that hope marketing. No, we have to have a plan. And what that looks like is this 8-stage journey that starts with awareness. First of all, people have to know that you exist. This means they see an ad. Maybe they find you in search. They hear about you via referral, right? I love these new Snacktivus brownies. I know this is going to be me, and I'm going to be telling my friends about them, right? So that's going to be my first thing. And now it's engagement. So this could be engaging with a piece of content that's on the website. Informational, right? Especially a lot of businesses, we need to teach, and there's a lot of education involved. And so engaging means they watched a video, they clicked, right? Maybe I saw it on Facebook and now I clicked on it. I took an action. That is considered engagement. My next step is subscribe. We want to get that information so we can follow up, right? Because we know a typical customer journey, they don't just see it, read that article, then purchase right away. Lots of times we have to come back because we live busy lives and life is crazy. So we want to get that email address so that we can follow up with folks. The next stage is conversion. So convert people, we say convert with their time in their wallet. So conversion means it's the first step. It's the first transaction someone made with you. Typically, this transaction is a little bit smaller. People aren't going to spend all their money with you right away until they, know and love you. And then excitement. They get that first exciting experience. So I get my Snacktivus brownies in the mail. I absolutely love them. I have a great experience. I unbox them. I'm like, man, this is great. And now Coeur offer and upsells, right? Subscription. So maybe I'm like, man, I love this stuff so much. I need to subscribe, or I want to go try more products that is on this site. This is where the money's made, right? This lifetime customer value. And now that I love it, we have to be prompted to get reviews, right? Our testimonials or case studies. So this is where it says, I'm so glad that you loved your product. Would you mind reviewing us, right? And get points towards your next purchase if you're on a loyalty program, right? Advocate. And then of course, promotion. This is, I love my experience so much. I'm posting on Instagram about it. I post on Facebook. I'm telling all my friends about the experience. We have to think about and every single one of these cells and how they work together to provide that wonderful customer experience start to finish. So I know that's a little heavy. It's a lot, but follow that link in Digital Marketer and you'll learn a lot about this and get this down and understand it. And then the rest of it becomes much, much easier. Email automation and segmentation. Let's jump into this really quickly. Again, I know I'm talking fast and we're playing through this, but you are going to get the deck. Please hit us up for resources here in the chat. Newsletters and email blasts are for the Stone Ages. I know this is a big topic, but how many newsletters have you signed up for recently? We have a lot of newsletters going on, so we have to reframe our newsletters, right? You'll see these are an email blasts. Things have changed with email. We could go on this topic a long, long time. So I'm just going to point you in the direction of a great platform that's going to really help you. And remember, 20 to 40% of revenue should be coming from email. How does that work? You need to get on a smart platform like Klaviyo. Klaviyo is bar none, probably the top email automation platform for e-commerce companies. It plays very well with Shopify. These email automations are things like I'm browsing for a product and then I don't purchase. And then all of a sudden I get an email that says, hey, here's that product you were just looking at. Would you like free shipping with it? Right? These are automations, or maybe I just entered and I get into an indoctrination sequence, or maybe I just purchased something and it says, hey, I know you just ordered this product. I know you're going to love this product next, right? So these are smart email platforms that are, based on consumer behavior, helping you to grow your customer. A series of triggered emails is called a flow, right? So just like I just named a couple of them, right? If I a post-purchase flow after I buy, and now I'm getting upsold, right? Based on those things. We've all kind of probably experienced this. This email flows is kind of the new way that email works. I have a little bonus here, maybe for those of you that are maybe a little more advanced. You do have some email, but you want to get a little bit deeper into email and really start making some money. So this is a bonus tip for those folks. These are your top email flows according to revenue. This is according to a lot of data from Klaviyo, billions of emails sent and hundreds of millions of dollars made from email. These are your top ones. Abandoned cart. I was shopping for something. All of a sudden, something's going on with my kid and I run over, I take care of it and I don't finish my shopping. Well, now I get an email and it says, hey, you abandoned your cart. And guess what? I did get back to that email because I'm still busy. So then, 2 days later said, hey, really don't want you to forget about this product. It seemed like you love it. We'll give you free shipping so that you can try it, right? That's an abandoned cart email. Browse abandonment. You ever get on a website, it pops up and says, hey, get 10% off your first purchase, 15% off your first purchase if you enter your email below, right? And you enter your email. Well, now that's tracking your information and your behavior on the site. So maybe now I'm looking at all these products and I'm browsing, right? And I haven't added them to my cart maybe, but then I leave for the same reasons. Well, now, because you left, the smart email platform can know that and say, hey, I know you're shopping, would love to get you back onto this shopping path and continue going. Lastly, the welcome series. This is amazing for brands, especially like Snacktivus and brands with a real purpose, which I'm sure most of you all listening do. And there's so much behind the brand. This is your chance to tell that story in bite-sized chunks to your consumers. A welcome series email provides a lot of sales. And this is where, as soon as you get someone's email, anybody that joins your list, whether that be from a purchase, maybe they entered for that coupon, This is a series of emails, typically 3 to 5 emails, where you say, hey, this is who we are. This is what we stand for. This is maybe our founder. This is some of our unique selling propositions, right? This is our story. This is where we build that brand depth and people really buy into the brand. Next, let's talk about retargeting. Retargeting is huge in terms of return. I actually have a case study right here. I took this screenshot just this summer for a brand that started running retargeting ads over the summer. And you can see here, this is directly from Facebook Ads Manager. So we took this shot, purchase return on ad spend. So for every dollar they spent on ads, they got a 57.92. So $58 in return. So literally a 58x return they got from retargeting. And we see this with a bunch of with all the brands we work with. The highest returning campaigns are retargeting campaigns, because typically the reason we bail out on our shopping experience isn't because we don't want the product. It's just because we're busy. There's other things going on. But if we continue to stay in front of folks and follow up, we all know that in sales, the money's made in the follow-up. The same thing happens here online. Well, you may say, Dallas, that's really complicated. We don't know how to do that. It's actually not super challenging. And I have a link right here to tell you exactly how to set it up. And how they do that is through, for Facebook, for example, is one of the most popular and strongest ways to retarget your audience through Facebook and Instagram. How you set that up is by setting up a little tool called your Facebook Pixel, and then you can use that pixel to create your retargeting ads with. I have a link here on how to set it up. And it can be done in a reasonable amount of time, and you can pick up a lot of sales really quickly. The reason is think about it. If you have 1,000 people coming to your website this week or this month, and your conversion rate is, let's say, 3%, so 3 out of 100 people are buying, what happens to all those other people? What happened to the other 97, right? Or the 970 people out of the 1,000? Well, they probably just got busy or something happened. So if we follow up with them, there's a chance that we might be able to pick them back up, their low-hanging fruit. So retargeting, huge, huge, huge. Mapping your user experience. We kind of talked about this. I want to take everything we just learned and put it all together so you can kind of visualize what this looks like. I know this is a crazy diagram, but bear with me. We're going to walk through it. We want to think through this process. Imagine people are coming to our website, right? Maybe from Google, they're searching for something. Maybe it's from a Facebook ad or Instagram ad, and they come to the website. And then there's that little email pop-up, right, that we talked about. Get 15% off. Well, now I'm looking up, I maybe fill out my email, and now I'm continuing to browse. So now I click on a product page. And as I go onto that product page, now I'm adding it to cart, add it to my cart. Cool, I'm going to my checkout. And at my checkout, maybe I get an upsell. Hey, you like this product? Maybe you want this other product as well before you buy, right? And then a thank you page. This is an example of a really good sales funnel. Well, at any of these points in my funnel, I could be falling off. That is where the email and the retargeting come in, right? So let's say I check out this product, but I leave. See these email sequences? Intro email, email number 2, email number 3. That's where I get my email automation, because I gave you my email when I had it for the browse, but my emails tracking software says, oh, they didn't purchase. So therefore, we're going to get some emails. Same thing with retargeting. Maybe I viewed these certain products, right? Or I added it to my cart, but I didn't purchase. So guess what? I got a Facebook ad that said, hey, get free shipping with this. And it's sending me back into my process. Same thing with abandoned cart. Maybe I had all the way into my cart. I'm in the checkout process and I bailed. We follow up there. And then lastly, our thank you series, right? As soon as someone emails, we want to give them a great first experience. So it's very exciting, right? So that they will come back over and over again. Every single page is important here. And so I know this may be a little bit overwhelming, but take a chance to look at it and map your own out to see what your customer experience is like now, and maybe what you really like it to look like. So you may feel a little bit like this, like you're sucking water through a fire hose. I know that was a lot of information, but don't worry, all those links are there. And I just want to finish up with your next 5 moves. This is going to be take everything that you learned, and here's your roadmap right here. I'm going to give it to you that you really should be taking these steps on. Number 1, pick a great platform. I didn't know that Joni was using Shopify before we originally spoke, and I'm so happy that you are, because it's a great platform. We recommend Shopify. This is going to allow you to have a solid base. From this base, you can start setting up your analytics and your tracking. So if you have a current website, you don't have to migrate to Shopify right away. That's not what I'm saying. If you love your platform and you're like it, then it's going to be great for you if you know how to use it, and it's good for you. But next, we need data to be able to make future decisions. So go ahead and set up Google Analytics if it's not already set up in there. There's a link to it right here, and it'll take you through the setup process. Next, set up Hotjar. Hotjar is going to be that data visualizer where we can see heat mapping and screen recordings and see how people are engaging with us, right? And then lastly, our Facebook pixel, super important. Even if you decide not to start Facebook ads right away or do retargeting right away, this will track data for up to 180 days. So 6 months from now, if you decide to get started, you can have all that data and all those people that have visited your site over the last 6 months. You're going to be able to get back in front of those folks. So pick your platform, start collecting your data, understanding what's happening. Now that we have that set up, we're going to map out your current journey and then your ideal customer journey. A little hint, use the example we just talked about as your framework. This framework is one that we use with all of our CPG e-commerce clients. That's the ideal framework. They can be more complicated than that one. They can be more simple than that one, but that's a good level to experience that we should be going through. So I have a link to our customer value journey, the one that we talked about with digital marketers, so you can kind of see that 8-step framework and you can map it out. And then I have a link here to Funalytics. Again, they have a free account version for you to use, so you can map each stage so you can really visualize it. So now that we have those things, we need to crunch our numbers. If you remember what your numbers are, you need these numbers to make decisions based off of. Conversion rate. How many people are coming to our website? Of that, how many people are buying? Your platform should tell you that. Your Shopify tells you that right up front. WooCommerce will tell you that. Now here's our little math equation. Our average order value, AOV, ANO, I know there's a lot of acronyms. The digital marketing world is a crazy place with that, but I have it all mapped out here. Average order value, which is on average, how much are people spending when they make their purchase, right, in their cart, plus the average number of orders, right, equals your customer lifetime value. So I want to figure out my average number of orders and then figure out my customer lifetime value based on that. And excuse me, it's actually times. We will get this edited for you before we send it to you, but it's your average order value times the number of orders is your customer lifetime value. This is the last thing, is cost per acquisition. This allows you, now that I know my lifetime customer value, if I know that someone over the lifetime spends $300 with me, I know, and then I know my cost of goods and all my numbers there, I can now say, okay, cool, I can pay this much to acquire customers. So when I pay for Facebook ads or Google ads, or maybe I pay an influencer, I know that I need to basically get this cost per acquisition, and those numbers will help me scale. So now we have all our numbers. Now, number 5 is find your most important next growth step. That's going to be different for all of us. That may be email, maybe paid advertising, maybe it is focusing on search engine optimization. It's going to be different for everybody depending on where you're at. But now that we have our basics, we have our data to make our decisions off of, now we're going to find our next important growth step and the channel that's best for us. And with that, one thing that we wanted to add to this event for everybody, and I find it super helpful, is it's great to learn all this stuff. And there's so much information here. But we talk a lot about this idea of half-built bridges in our agency. Is especially as entrepreneurs, we sort of get shiny object syndrome, right? We go to one of these webinars and we read a book, and then we do this next thing, and then we read this blog article, and we start building all these bridges, but we never finish building them, right? And then what do we have? We have a bunch of half-built bridges. And that doesn't help us get to, where we're trying to go, right? Our goal to scale our business, to do all these things. And so the idea here, and why number 5 is so important, is we want to set you up to take your next step. What's the best next step for you? So we have a little offer here for anybody. It is really a totally complimentary offer. We just want to do just for this event for folks. It is our 29-point e-commerce analysis. Basically, we go through a lot of these things we just talked about specifically for your business. And the idea is that you come out the other end with sort of a plan, and when you know what your next best step is based on the information that you have. So you can really know what you can do to grow and scale. You can minimize wasted resources, which is huge, and then plan for future growth. So if that's something you're interested in, let us know. We have a link here too where you can schedule that time. I hope that you found this helpful and valuable, and you're able to take those next steps for your business to be able to start growing online. Thank you. And if you have any questions, again, we're in the chat and I'll be available to help. Take care.